The air is soft tonight, almost like a breath drawn from the heart of the earth itself. Pale silver leaves flutter high in the branches above, and the faint shimmer of starlight drips through them in gentle streams. On the mossy ground below, a wolf pup lies curled in a circle, his fur catching the glow of the moon as if spun from clouds. His chest rises and falls slowly, each breath deep and unhurried, like the rhythm of a calm sea. Around him, Yggdrasil's roots weave a cradle of living wood. The great tree, older than the first dawn, hums with a presence that soothes every creature that comes near. Its roots stretch endlessly, carrying whispers of life across all realms. And here, in this hidden glade, the young wolf dreams not of running or hunting, but of warm sunlight and quiet companionship. The gods visit sometimes, their forms shimmering softly as they approach. They never disturb the pup's peace. Instead, they sit at a respectful distance, watching as he grows. His eyes, when they open, are bright as amber, but hold no malice, only a deep, wondering curiosity about the world around him. A breeze stirs, bringing with it the scent of meadow grasses and cool water. The pup lifts his nose, sniffing gently, before resting his head back on his paws. Even in the distance, faint laughter drifts on the air gods walking among flowers, their voices as calm as flowing streams. Yet here, by Yggdrasil's roots, time feels slower, stretched into golden threads that invite only stillness and ease. Above, the stars arrange themselves like delicate runes, their soft light folding over the grove like a silken veil. The pup stirs again, stretching his long legs before curling up tighter. His fur catches the stars' shimmer, and for a moment, he seems almost woven from light itself. As night deepens, the grove hums on, and Yggdrasil's branches sway ever so slightly, as though they too are breathing in unison with the little wolf. The gods will return soon, their voices low and reassuring, but for now, all is quiet, only the sound of leaves whispering to the stars, and the gentle sigh of a young creature wrapped in warmth. Here, beneath silver leaves and the watchful sky, even the air itself seems to murmur, "Rest, little one. All is well." Far beneath the rolling hills and quiet streams, there's a place where the earth's heartbeat slows to a hush. In the dwarves' forge, lanterns flicker like captured stars, their warm glow casting soft circles of light on walls carved smooth by patient hands. The air is still and calm, carrying only the faint scent of polished stone and cool metal. Here, the dwarves work not with loud clanging or rushing flames, but with careful, deliberate movements. Their fingers glide over threads finer than spider silk, weaving them together with the steadiness of flowing water. These threads are not ordinary, they are spun from moonlight gathered on still nights, the sound of a cat's footfall on snow, and the breath of fish gliding through deep lakes. Each strand carries a quiet glow, like the first light of dawn spreading across a sleeping valley. In this forge, there is no urgency, no hurried voices. The dwarves hum soft tunes as they work, their melodies floating gently through the air. The ribbon they create grows longer and more radiant with each passing moment, its surface smooth as water and strong as the roots of Yggdrasil itself. They call it Gleipnir, though the word itself drifts into the air as lightly as a feather. Occasionally, one dwarf will pause, holding the ribbon up to the light. It shimmers faintly, as if holding the memory of 1,000 calm nights. Then, with a nod, they return to their weaving, their small hammers tapping so softly they sound like raindrops on leaves. As the work continues, the forge feels almost like a dream. The heat of the furnaces is gentle, more like the warmth of a sunlit stone than a blazing fire. Shadows sway lazily on the walls, and the air hums with a quiet magic born of care and patience. When the ribbon is finally complete, the dwarves lay it carefully across a polished table. It looks impossibly delicate, yet there is a stillness in its weave that feels unshakable. One dwarf runs a finger along its length, smiling faintly. Though it is meant for a great task above, here in the forge, it is simply a thing of beauty, soft, luminous, and full of peace. The dwarves extinguish their lanterns one by one, the glow fading into a gentle twilight. In the hush that follows, the ribbon seems to breathe, resting in the quiet forge like a sleeping child wrapped in silk. The meadow stretches wide beneath, a pale sky where drifting clouds wander like slow-moving ships upon a calm sea. The grass sways gently, each blade brushing against its neighbor with a sound as soft as whispers. A warm breeze carries the scent of wildflowers, lavender, golden dandelions, and the faint sweetness of clover in bloom. Tyr walks slowly through the meadow, his steps unhurried. The god's presence is quiet and steady, like a tree that has stood for centuries. His hands rest lightly at his sides, fingers grazing the petals as he passes. He is not here for battles or grand declarations. He is here because this place is calm, and calmness has a way of reaching even the deepest corners of one's being. Ahead, the wolf waits. No longer a pup, Fenrir has grown, his fur thick and soft, the color of twilight shadows brushed with moonlight. He lies stretched across the grass, his long limbs relaxed, amber eyes blinking slowly in the soft daylight. When Tyr approaches, Fenrir does not rise. Instead, his ears flick once, and his tail gives a faint, lazy thump against the ground. Tyr kneels nearby, careful not to disturb the flowers. For a long moment, neither god nor wolf speaks. The breeze curls around them, carrying the gentle sounds of bees humming and birds singing low, sleepy notes from distant trees. When Tyr does speak, his voice is even and smooth, carrying no urgency, only the kind of warmth that feels like sitting by a hearth on a cool evening. He murmurs words of greeting, simple and kind, and Fenrir's ears tilt forward, listening. The wolf lifts his head slightly and exhales, a sound like a sigh that ripples across the grass. There is no rush here. Tyr extends a hand, palm open, letting Fenrir decide whether to come closer. Slowly, almost lazily, Fenrir shifts his great head forward until his nose brushes Tyr's palm. The god does not flinch or pull away. He lets his fingers stroke the soft fur, each movement unhurried, as though time itself has slowed to allow this meeting to linger. Above them, the clouds part for a moment, letting sunlight wash across the meadow. It is a light that feels gentle enough to touch, warming the earth without ever burning. Tyr smiles faintly, and Fenrir, eyes half closed, rests his head upon the grass again. The god stays beside the wolf as the hours pass, speaking in low tones, telling stories that float on the breeze and vanish like dandelion seeds in the air. There is no need for plans or questions, only the quiet company of two beings sitting beneath a sky that holds nothing but stillness. The meadow is alive with quiet laughter, though even laughter here feels like a breeze brushing across still waters. The gods have gathered in a loose circle, their voices low and melodic, blending with the sounds of the grasses and the gentle rustle of leaves. They move with ease, each step deliberate and graceful, as though they are dancing to a tune only they can hear. Fenrir lies nearby, his massive body stretched across the sun-warmed earth. His amber eyes follow the gods lazily as they toss smooth stones to one another, their hands never moving too quickly, their motions as fluid as ripples spreading across a pond. Occasionally, a stone lands near Fenrir's paw. He flicks it back with a careful nudge, the weight of his touch so delicate it barely disturbs the earth beneath. There is no competition in their play, no winners or losers. Only the soft exchange of motion and sound, like a river weaving around stones in its path. The gods' garments drift in the wind, like fabrics catching the sunlight in faint glimmers, and their smiles are as gentle as the meadow itself. Tyr sits closest to Fenrir, one hand resting on his knee, the other stroking the wolf's fur in slow circular motions. Fenrir yawns, a wide, cavernous yawn that shows the curve of his teeth. though there is nothing sharp in the gesture. It is the yawn of a creature at ease, his breath warm and steady as it brushes over the grass. A bird flits overhead, its wings slicing through the air with a sound as soft as silk sliding across stone. The gods pause to watch it, their eyes following its path until it disappears into the blue expanse above. Then, with serene movements, they resume their game, laughter resuming as naturally as the wind returning after a lull. The hours drift on unnoticed, the sun crossing the sky in a slow arc. Shadows lengthen gently, but the meadow holds its warmth, wrapping everything in a golden glow. Even time itself seems to grow sleepy here, stretching into long, unbroken moments, where nothing matters but the soft hum of voices and the steady rise and fall of Fenrir's breathing. As evening begins to gather at the edges of the sky, the gods' movements slow even further, like candle flames settling into stillness. They speak less now, but the silence between them is comfortable, rich with understanding and quiet companionship. Fenrir shifts slightly, resting his great head against Tyr's knee. The god does not move, except to run his fingers through the wolf's fur one more time. Above, the first stars begin to appear, each one winking softly into existence as if afraid to disturb the calm. And in this gentle twilight, wolf and gods alike sink into the kind of peace that feels endless, as though the world itself has exhaled and settled into rest. As night folds gently over the meadow, the gods rise one by one, their movements slow and quiet as petals drifting to the ground. Tyr remains seated beside Fenrir, his hand resting lightly on the wolf's fur. The air has cooled, carrying the faint scent of pine from distant hills and the sweet perfume of blossoms closing for the night. In the soft glow of moonlight, something shimmers faintly in the hands of a god approaching from afar. It is Gleipnir, the ribbon woven of wonders, carried so delicately it seems weightless. Its surface glows with a subtle light, not sharp or blinding but warm and soothing, like sunlight filtered through morning mist. The gods gather around, forming a loose circle. Once more. Their faces are calm, their voices hushed, as though speaking too loudly might disturb the stillness settling over the world. Tyr meets each gaze in turn, his expression steady, his presence as grounding as stone warmed by the sun. Fenrir's eyes open lazily, catching the glimmer of the ribbon. He stretches his long legs and yawns, a sound deep and unhurried, before lifting his head to regard the gods. There is no unease in his gaze, only a quiet curiosity, the kind one feels when watching leaves fall in autumn, slow, inevitable, and beautiful in its own way. The gods do not rush. They move as though time has no hold on them, as though the stars themselves are content to wait. Tyr kneels once again beside Fenrir, his voice even softer now, murmuring words that ripple across the meadow like a lullaby. The wolf blinks slowly, his breath warm against the god's hand. When the ribbon is finally laid out, it catches the starlight in threads of gold and silver. The fabric ripples as though alive, but its movement is gentle, like a sleeping creature's. Breath, the gods hold it carefully, their fingers tracing its length with reverence. Gleipnir is not a thing of force or burden. It is a creation of patience and wonder, born from elements so delicate they seem like fragments of dreams. Tyr runs, his hand along the ribbon, and for a moment, even he seems caught in its stillness. Fenrir watches with half-lidded eyes, his great head tilting slightly as if to better see the glimmering strands. There is no sound now but the faint hum of the earth beneath them, the pulse of life that has always been and will always be. And, as the moon climbs higher, casting a silver path across the meadow, the gods prepare for what must come, not with haste or worry, but with the same quiet care they have shown all along. The night air is cool and sweet as the gods walk together toward a quiet hollow beneath low hills. The grass is soft underfoot, and the faint sound of crickets rises like a lullaby, weaving itself into the silence between their steps. Tyr walks at the front, his posture steady and his breath slow, like a tree rooted deeply in calm earth. Fenrir follows without hurry. His paws press gently into the mossy ground, leaving no mark behind. His fur catches the moonlight in muted flashes, each movement smooth and untroubled. He glances once toward Tyr, and the god meets his gaze with a faint smile, a smile that holds no expectation, only the kind of stillness that asks nothing in return. In the clearing, the gods stop. The ribbon, Gleipnir, lies across the grass like a trail of soft light. It seems impossibly delicate here, its faint shimmer matching the stars overhead. A breeze stirs, lifting its edges as though inviting Fenrir to step closer. Tyr kneels in the grass, his hands resting loosely in his lap. His voice is quiet when he speaks, words flowing like gentle water over smooth stones. Fenrir's ears twitch at the sound, and he lowers himself onto his haunches, his amber eyes fixed on Tyr's calm face. The gods wait, their forms bathed in silver light. They do not press or speak loudly. They are still as statues, their presence as gentle as the air itself. Tyr lifts the ribbon and lets it settle in his hands, showing it to Fenrir as though presenting a gift rather than a restraint. The wolf blinks slowly and lowers his head, his breath stirring the grass. With unhurried care, Tyr drapes Gleipnir around Fenrir's legs. The ribbon coils lightly, its touch softer than feathers, its glow warm and steady. Fenrir does not resist. His muscles remain loose, his great body relaxed as he watches Tyr's hands move. When the ribbon's ends are tied, a hush settles over the hollow. Even the crickets pause, as though holding their breath. Gleipnir rests lightly against Fenrir's fur, and for a long moment, there is no sound but the wolf's slow, steady breathing. Tyr places one hand against Fenrir's side, feeling the calm rise and fall of his chest. The god's other hand remains outstretched, his palm open in quiet reassurance. Fenrir tilts his head and places his massive jaws gently over Tyr's hand, not in threat, but in a gesture of trust as deep and endless as the night sky above. And in that stillness, wolf and god remain together beneath the stars, the air humming softly around them like a song remembered in dreams.